So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shakti Flow. We're going to take a comfortable seat and get started with a centering before we get moving around. So allowing yourself to come to a sitting position, closing your eyes, and then become still. These three things that we do in the beginning of any yoga class helps to build a pattern or a memory in the body and mind as to dropping in, preparing, connecting. And I was reading something earlier. I was reminded about this word called interoception. You might know the word proprioception, which is the awareness and the sense feeling of what's going on around you, like how close people stand to you, or super sensitive to temperatures or wind, things like that. Interoception is the same subtle sense awareness to what's going on inside of you. Simple analogy would be your stomach is growling, trying to signal to you that you're hungry. Or you feel overly hot internally. So if you've ever gone through the change or menopause, we have that internal heat that goes on. So this is our interoception. And as we practice, especially with yoga, we pay a little bit more attention to this interoception. What is happening inside of us? And so as we sit, you might notice your own awareness, your own sense feeling around what's going on around you and within you. Take a nice deep breath into all of that, and then bring your hands to your heart. Holding your own intention. Why are you here? What do you need? Building this awareness muscle of both outward awareness and inward awareness. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, hands can come down, eyes can open, and we're going to roll the shoulders. Okay, so we're going to start standing. So come to your mat in Tadasana. And I've been kind of interested lately in I'm trying to think of the right word, patterns of movement that are not normally linear, like a walking movement, something that's a little bit different. So we're going to play with that today. And why do I care about that? It's because the proprioception and the interoception can really get challenged when we do something that's a little bit off. So for Tadasana, just standing in your mountain pose, you can even close your eyes if you like, and take an assessment. What's going on as you stand here? I did a lot of sitting yesterday. I was sitting this morning, and I've noticed my hips are tight. Sounds like a theme this morning. As you inhale, lift your arms up over your head, bring your palms together, and then hands are going to separate. You're going to twist and look back behind you. And then inhale, come forward and up, palms touch over your head. Exhale, twist the other way, look behind you. Inhale. And now this time, taking your right arm down, just laterally bend to the right. Inhale, come back up. Taking your left arm down, laterally bend towards the left. And just noticing these patterns here. And then this is a little different. As you exhale, bend your knees and round your back, looking to the floor. Inhale, looking up and look to the sky. Now go all around again, twisting to one direction, look back. Inhale, come up, twisting to the other direction, look back. Maybe your both hands stay up this time as you laterally bend to one side. And inhaling, come up and laterally bend to the other side. As you come up and around, arms separate, round your spine like cat pose. And then stand and look up like cow pose. One more time, up and around, twisting. And come up as you inhale, get longer, exhale, twisting. Inhale, laterally bend. We're just addressing the 6 motions of the spine, checking in with where we are and what is going on. And last round with cat and cow here, rounding spine, and then looking up and arcing spine. And then letting your hands drift down, pause for a minute and just check to see how that little movement pattern made you feel. There might have been an opening just a little bit. Yeah, good. So take your feet a little bit apart. Arms are going to be open. And you're going to shift your weight over to one leg. I want you to bring your knee up and across. Switch knee up and across. Like a sweeping motion, up and across. The arms are open just to help you balance. Up and across. So this is one of those patterns that are not necessarily what we do day to day. And you're taking a lateral step, landing on that foot, and then sweeping that other knee across. And you just saw that I almost lost my balance there. Now, if you feel comfortable, hand to the opposite leg. Now, this is an old aerobics move, something I used to teach way back in the 80s. And then if you feel like you can touch your ankle, maybe, just starting to think about that sweeping motion being more of an external rotation, an easy one back and forth movement. Good, one more time, and then pause. Feet are a little bit apart here, toes are slightly turned out. Sweep down and lift up. And as we go, I want you to get lower and lower based on whatever your body can do. So your hips are going to come down lower, your knees are going to bend more, your body's going to come forward more. We do this kind of movement all the time, picking things up off the floor. And one more time, drift down and up and over and pause, and then come back to center, stand in your mountain pose. All right, so finding a place where you can just balance for a minute. You're going to stand on your right foot, and I want you to turn your left knee open like you're going to do tree pose, but you're not really going to do tree pose. And I want you to take your knee up to your same arm. So it's like up and down. So my knee is open, and I'm trying to lift it and lift it. And you may not get anywhere near your arm. Don't worry about it. So I'm short-waisted, remember? And my knee is open. I'm trying to think about, well, I can't bring my leg forward. I have to bring it out here. Let's do one more. Good, and then pause. Switch sides, turning your other leg, knee open. And so I like to start with my ankle against my other leg, or my heel against my other leg, and then lift and then tap. So it's not really fast. You're just wondering, what kind of range of motion do I have? And I was with a friend a month ago now, I guess. And she has stairs in her house. Has one of those old, what they call Hollywood houses in Delaware, where there's 3 stories. And I really noticed, one more time. Good, and then relax. All right, last little warm-up move. I'll tell you in a minute. So take your foot back, and I like to call this the squat lunge. So this is a full lunge. This is the squat. Do something in the middle. And we're just going to lift our arms up, big inhale, and then exhale, see where you can bend. So maybe your knee, shin, or floor. Inhale up, exhale, bend, touch something. Inhale, arms up, reach and look up, exhale, touch something. And as you do this lifting movement, I want you to imagine you're going into that cow pose again, lifting, 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 and then down and wherever you're going to touch. One more time. And down, and now come back up and stay. Breathe here, Big long stretch. Push through your back foot. Pull that energy all the way up through your fingers. And then from there, keep that length. Hands come to your heart. Can you shift forward and just pick up that back foot? I'm not trying to ask you to go high. You're just changing the angle or changing the weight in your legs. Good. Go ahead and rest. Switch your sides. And find a way that you can feel pretty stable. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Look up a little. Exhale, bend your knees and check this side. Could be knee, shin, or floor. Inhale, up. And if you go to the floor, you might notice that you round your back a little. And that's okay. That's normal action. Then lift up and go the other way. Have you ever stood up from, like, say, sitting for a long time, and you put your hands on your lower back and you arc back?
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels better. Your body wants to do that opposite action. One more time here. And down. Lift and reach. Now use that push in that back ball of the foot to bring the energy all the way up through the glutes, the belly. Can you make it a little bit bigger? And then exhale, hands to heart. Shift weight and just float this back leg off the floor. Good. Feel the stability. Right, and relax. Good. Shake everything out. Okay, so I'm going to finish my little story here, and you can pick up your light weights. So this friend, not a fit person. She tries to be healthy, but she's not a fit person at all. And what I noticed about her is when she goes down the stairs, she kind of falls down the stairs. Like there's no, have you ever gone downstairs and you kind of land lightly, land lightly, land lightly? She kind of like falls. And I brought it to her attention because that's it's a muscle weakness on that downward action. And that's all around the quads and knees mostly. Because if she didn't understand where those steps were, because she's lived there for so long, she probably hurt herself, right? Because she's not used to different levels. Anyway, it was just an interesting thing. I thought, well, if you don't do these different kinds of patterns and these different movement patterns, functional movement, mobility movement, whatever you want to call them, you'll get weaker over time. Okay, so take your feet apart and bring your hands to your chest. And we're just going to start to shift our weight from one side to the other. So shift your weight, shift your weight, shift your weight. So remember that first thing we did? I'm going to slow it down just a little. And I'm going to ask you to bring your knee across. Sweep, 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 sweep. And now if you feel like you can, take your arms open with your weights in your hands. And then keep going and see if you can touch the opposite leg. Touch. Now I touch with my fingers, not with my weight, because I don't want to hit myself with the weight. And so you're working on the shoulders, balance, and then this rotational movement as we go. Touch, touch, touch. And my palms are facing forward. The weights are vertical, hanging. You could do it down. Either way, find what works for your shoulders. This one feels better to me. Last two, and rest. Good. Bring your weights to your chest. Pause. You're going to keep your weights together. Bend your knees a little bit. And you're going to push up and lift. And then come down and see if you can touch the floor. Push up and lift. And then down and see if you can touch the floor. So this is what we were doing in the beginning with that warm-up. We were seeing where we could go. Good. Now the next four, we're going to add a tricep move. So up, hands behind you, push away, and touch the floor. Up, behind you. And remember, when we're in this position of standing, we're still engaging core body, legs, and touch. One more time. Lift, touch behind you, up and to the floor. Come back to center. Good. Take your feet even wider apart. Toes are forward. Now I want you to pull your hands by your ribs. My elbows are pointing behind me. And I want you to start to lean towards one side and bend the knee, and then lean towards the other side. So it's a side lunge. And your range is going to be based on what you like to do. So I want you to touch a knee or a shin or a foot and pull. Knee, pull. Knee, pull. Now I want you to stay forward in your position. I don't want you to come to standing. And as we go, you might notice that you can get lower as your hip goes. Yeah, I can do that. All right. So I'm down to my ankle. I started at my knee. Down. My body's more forward, but my hips are actually more open now. Don't forget the pull. One more time. Now stay here in the middle, soft knees, and go down and pull 2 arms. Down, keep going, and pull 2 arms. I have to take care of my sniffles. Keep going. And so we're working with both arms at the same time. Do 2 more. And down and up. Good. And then down, put your weights off your mat. Walk your feet even wider apart and then go into a deeper stretch. Do it on purpose. So they're really opening up the inner leg on that straight side. Shift your weight back a little bit. And then come up and over and switch. The tendency here is to come forward. So see if you can shift your weight slightly back. And then we're going to pivot around to a high lunge. Stay here. And I want you to bend your knee just like you're going to touch the floor and then straighten your leg. Bend and straighten. Last time, bend and straighten. Right hand to, or sorry, whatever knee is in front, turn to that side. And then maybe that arm comes up. So you're in a twisted lunge here. Exhale, hand to the inside of your foot. Go ahead and pivot yourself back wide. Bend the other direction. So you're in that nice long side lunge. And then pivot the other way. So you're in a lunge facing the opposite direction. Bend your back knee and straighten it. And bend your back knee and straighten it. So you want it like you're lightly tapping the floor. And then hold that straight leg as you put your hand on your front thigh. Turn towards that direction. Maybe hand goes to the ceiling. It's okay to put your hand on your leg and stay there. Wherever you are, hand goes to the floor. I want you to pick up your front foot and step back. So you're in a plank pose here. And then drop one knee and straighten that leg. Drop another knee, straighten the leg. Drop, straighten. We just did this in another position. Straighten. Last 2. Straighten. Down. And then go to downward facing dog to release all of that. Downward facing dog. Let yourself be in that position, opening up your back body. Making sure that your arms feel strong and your core is totally engaged. Breathing. Alrighty, and now go ahead and put your knees, come back down on the floor into table. Turn your toes down and let's do a, turn your toes under and let's lift the tailbone and the eyes for cow pose. We did this when we were standing. And then flip your feet, rounding for cat pose. Do that 2 or 3 times, just taking your time, letting your body have that sense of recovery. I could tell my energy is just a little low from these allergies. All right. Now, the next time you come through, keep your toes turned under. Energize your fingers so that you're really gripping the floor so you don't hang out in your wrists. and pick up your knees and hover. Now we've done this before, it's not a new movement, and then lower back down. Lifting up a knee. Now what I want you to do the second time is pretend you're going to take a step with your right foot towards your right arm and go back and land. Lift your knees, pretend to take a step with your left foot to step towards your left arm and go back and rest. Come up, step in, step back and rest. Step in and back and rest. Good. Now just come off with your hands, coming into this kneeling position. We did this last week. I want you to keep your toes turned under, tailbone roots kind of sweeps forward so that you really engage your core body. Shoulders are going to stay on your back, and today I want you to interlace your fingers. So keep your arms by your body or on your body. Keep your chest open. Try not to make the back bend. You're just trying to stay straight, and you're going to lean back. So last week we did this with arms out in front to help counterbalance you a little. This time I took it away and then go back up. Now I'll show you the wrong way. I can get about here, and then if I keep going, do you see how I make the back bend? So don't do that to yourself. Keep yourself straight and just go wherever your legs will let you go. And up. We'll do one more. Keeping your tailbone rooted underneath you, lower belly engaged. Go where you can go. Your quads will stop you. And then up. Terrific. Fingers on the floor. Sweep off of your knees and then unfurl yourself so that you're in a forward fold. And let that forward fold release you slightly. Soften knees. Alrighty, and then go ahead and bend your knees down, hips down like you're going to squat, and then come up on your forearms. This is a little reminder. We do this movement all the time, but we can forget the deep interoception, what's happening inside. And can you find your pelvic floor and your lower belly and keep those engaged while you hover? Keep those engaged while you stand. Nice and slow, arms come up over your head, and then palms come to the chest. Good. Pause here for a minute, mountain pose. Take some stock as to how you're feeling. All right, so you can stay with your light weights. You can transition to the heavy weight. I'm going to do one heavy weight. You can do two. My energy is a little on the low side because of the allergies, so I'm not going to overwork. So I'm just going to pick up one heavy weight. For me, that's a 6. I do have 8s in here, and if I was feeling better, I was going to grab the 8s, but no, not today. So I want you, whatever you're holding, 2 or 1, I want you to take it to your right shoulder or left shoulder. It'll be your left shoulder, my right. And I want you to stand in a comfortable stance. It doesn't have to be really rigid. It's going to be what your body knows. And then I want you to come down into a squat, touching that same elbow to that same knee. Inhale, come back up. Try it again. Down. And now this time, as you come up, push your arm up overhead. And then go back down on that same side. And this time, as you come up overhead, come over to the other side and kind of do a side bend. Inhale, come up to touch the shoulder and then down. Come up over your head and then bring it to your other shoulder and kind of side bend. And up and down. And up. Last time for the side bend. Little baby movement, not hard. Up, down. This time, keep your arms over your head and do 4 tricep presses up and down. Keep your arms pulling towards your head. Allow the weight to come as low as you can handle it. 3, and then 4. Good. Bring your hands to your heart. Pause for a second and we'll do the other side. Now this is it leads up to something, so I'm going slow. Take it to the other shoulder. As you come down, see if you can touch the same elbow to the same shoulder, and then come on up. And then go down again. And as you come up this time, bring your arms over your head. Same shoulder down, touch, up, and this time go to the other shoulder and side bend this way, just a little, up, shoulder, squat, up, other side, so you're taking that weight over your head, yeah? Kind of like a little baby arc. And then to the shoulder and down, up, to the other shoulder and bend. Good, and one more time. And shoulder and down, and up, and shoulder and bend. Now take your hands over your head and do 4 more tricep movements. So back, remember strong legs, strong core, elbows are squeezing towards your head. 3, and up, and 4, and up. Good, rest. All right, let's transition. Let your shoulders rest before we go on. So take your feet wide apart. If you've got 2 weights, I can grab 2 weights now. If you've got 2, just bring them like we did before. So the hands are by your ribs, soft knees, hinge forward. And then go from one side, touch, to the other side, touch. And each time you pull back, you're consciously drawing that shoulder blade into your back body. Elbows point to the ceiling, and you're trying to be as low as you can be. So maybe your feet are wider, maybe your feet are narrower. So 1 arm rows, last time each side, and then pause in the middle. Shoulder blades are together. As you lower, take your palms backward. And as you pull, rotate your palms forward. Down and backward, up and forward. So we're doing a rotational move in the shoulder while we work the back. Down. So can you stay in your squat move? Can you keep your back parallel to the floor? Can you find that interoception? What's happening? One more time. Down and up. Now hold the up position and just rise. And then bring your feet together. Pause. All right, I'm going to drop 1 weight. Again, you can hold 2. It depends on how strong you feel today. So remember that movement where we were going like this? Remember that? So we're going to try that here. So weight to your shoulder. Let your feet be wider apart. We're going to take the weight in the body down, elbow touches. You're going to come up, and then you're going to take your elbow and your knee together. Shoo. Down, up, shoo. Down, up, shoo. I like the shoo. And up. So we're trying to work laterally. That's what that lateral bend was about. But now we added a leg. Up. Good. Let's do 2 more. Down, up, push, and down, up, and push. Good. Stand at the middle. Let your hands rest at your chest. So the second side will feel wonky because your body just went, oh, I know what to do. So just give yourself a minute, go slow. Weights on the other shoulder. You're going to come down so the elbow touches on that side. Go up, and then see if the knee and the elbow can touch on this other side. So down, up, touch. Down, up, touch. Good, guys. Down, up, touch. Elbow to knee, up, elbow to knee, up. So it's a nice fluid movement. Working so many things I can't name. Down. And let's do 1 more. And up and touch. Nice job. Bring your weights down. All righty. So bend and put your weights to the floor. Make sure you're facing the long edge of your mat. We're going to inhale and come halfway up. So your body's in that nice long line. Exhale, come all the way down and step back again to your plank. Finding your plank pose. Shoulders on your back. Now drop both knees at the same time and straighten them. Both knees and straighten. One more time, both knees and straighten, and then your downward facing dog. And allowing your downward facing dog or child's pose if you're resting to give you that moment of reset. We are all going to come down in a minute. All right. So go ahead and come down onto your knees. And if you need a minute off of your hands, go ahead. Rotate your wrists a little. And then come back to that tabletop position. And so I want you to think about what we were doing before with the knees up off the floor. So first I want you to notice, and this is simple, right? Take your right arm forward and back. Take your left arm forward and back. Right arm forward and back. Simple, right? Now lift your knees up so you're hovering on your balls of your feet. One arm forward and back. One arm forward and back. Yeah? Now, take your right knee forward and your left arm forward. Back. Left knee forward, right arm forward, shift. Back. Now, can you do it together? Forward and back. Forward and back. Forward and back. Forward. One more. Forward and back. And then rest. Knees on the mat. If you need to come off your hands, do so. That's called crawling. Really good for proprioception, where we are in space. There's another layer to that. We may or may not get to it. All right. So come back up on your knees. We're going to do that lean back again. So for my body, I default into lordosis. So I always have to really check myself here. I don't want to squeeze my glutes. I want it to come more from the front of my body. But there is some attention here going on to the pelvic posterior tilting. And then take your hands behind you. I don't care how you do your arms, just keep them behind you. I'm just going to make mine go straight because it helps me keep my shoulders on my back. Remember not to lean back like camel. Think about yourself pivoting only from your knee hinge. So lean back in that straight line and go where you can go, and then come back up. Really good for knee health. Really good for quadricep lengthening and stretching lengthening and strengthening at the same time. And up. And one more time. Back, back. Don't bend backwards, just lean. Make your quads do the work. Good. And then come on up. Release and come forward. And take a downward facing dog from here. Allowing yourself to have that moment of recovery. All righty. Take a walk to the front of your mat and stay in your forward fold, letting yourself rest there. And then go ahead and drop your hips down. Come back to that forearm rest here. So this is always a nice thing to do if forward folding isn't good for your back, if it bothers your back. Instead of doing forward folding, just come here. A little bit easier on the body. Now finding your pelvic floor, your lower belly, and then hover. Can you keep the pelvic floor and the lower belly engaged while you stand? Keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it. Hands together and back to the heart. You know, you think about your pelvic floor, and I've had pelvic floor surgery, so I can speak to this a little bit. The pelvic floor muscles are like at the base of your pelvis. And we all think that the pelvis itself holds everything, which of course it does. But the fascia and the connective tissue and the soft tissue is part of the pelvic floor structure. And it's really important, especially for women, that we work on keeping this toned. Not just tight, like Kegel's tight, but toned where there's some resiliency. So if you find, when I ask you to find your pelvic floor and then right away it lets go, there's some weakness there, this lack of resiliency. It starts to look like leaking, bladder leaking, incontinence. It starts to look like you don't have good bowel function or good bowel control. Lots of different things like that. All right, so now we're going to go to our heaviest weight, whatever that is. I'm going to just use one, but you can use two. This is your final biggest challenge that we've been doing. And we start with the weight at your shoulder. We're going to go back to that squat lunge. Remember, it was half of a squat leg and half of a lunge leg. And you're kind of in between. I feel like I'm pretty balanced. My weight's going to stay at my shoulder. So the other hand can just rest on your back or rest it on your leg or hip. You're going to bend down like we did in the beginning and find where you can touch. I can go to the floor, go to your shoulder, and then press overhead. Shoulder, down. I'm going to change this a little bit. I want you to start to look toward and go towards your front foot. So there's a little rotation. Back up and reach. So little rotation towards your front foot and then back up and reach. If it feels easy, make your weight a little heavier. I'm just not doing that today because of my allergies. All right, and let's do two more. So squat lunge, two legs are bending. Both legs are working in a really different way. Good. And now hold here. You can use your other arm for support. Bend, straighten. Bend, straighten. Only two more. Bend, straighten. Last time. Bend, straighten, and release. Good. Switch your sides. And so you're finding that first base here. There's no right or wrong other than if you stand so close, you won't be able to move. If you stand too far apart, you won't be able to move. And then take your weight to your shoulder. So you start in this upright position. And then start to squat down like you're going to put it down on the floor. Back up, overhead. Down to the floor. Back up, overhead. So these are all functional pattern movements that we're doing here. We do this kind of movement all the time, picking stuff up and putting stuff away. But you're using your legs really more than anything else. And up and down. And we've got two more. Really pay attention to your back leg. Remember, we were pushing through that back leg in the beginning. Really do that when you get to the top. And then stay at the top. Maybe your free arm holds your arm. Tricep presses. 4, 3, 2, and last one. And then go ahead and release and come to center. Nice. Pick up your second weight, heavy weight. Bicep curls are coming. Doesn't have to be hard. Functionally, just a basic movement. So soften knees, my legs are wide apart. I'm going to turn my hands open so I'm in external rotation and then pull the hands to the shoulders and down. So symmetrical movement, softer knees, pay attention to where your pelvis is. 3, and down. And now in the next 4, I want you to slow the lowering phase down. So up and then slow. And up and slow. So you go down twice as slow as you go up. 3, slow. And now I'm going to ask you a question. How hard is this? Because what I'd like you to try to do is make the next 4 really hard. So if I wanted to make it really hard, I would put both heavy weights in my one arm. Or maybe you would have one heavy and one light, which is what I'm going to do. I can do the other one, but not today. And I want you to keep your same position and see if you can go up and down with a heavier weight. We're working on one side, nice and slow. Don't let it go up in your neck, curl. And just think about all the things you lift on a regular basis. Groceries, suitcases, dogs, whatever, grandkids. My 10-year-old grandson is really getting too big. Last one here. And up. Good. And then we're just going to switch the side to finish this up. So a little bit of external rotation keeps the shoulder open rather than closed. And then you're going to curl and down, slow. If it goes into your elbow and you feel like it in your joint, the weight's too heavy, back it up a little. Soft knees, remember, strong sense of stability here. 4. So 4 more. We did a lot of tricep work today. We did a lot of leg work today. A lot of shoulder work today. So this is our final finisher, if you will. And up. Last time. And up. Good. And then as you put the weight down, bend your knees, leave your body close to the floor. Take your feet as wide as you can apart, and then just gently side to side. Go into that nice lateral lunge. It's a nice simple action, allowing your legs and muscles to release. And then after that second side, go ahead and release and come down into a forward fold, wide-legged. Remember, you can bend your knees, let your back rest on your legs, or you can be completely free. Take one more breath here. And then if you need to walk your legs in a little bit closer, I want you to pivot towards the long end of your mat and step back into your downward facing dog pose. And then as we're in this downward facing dog pose, last one of the day, noticing any difference from when you started. And breathing into whatever's there. And then letting your knees float down and open, feet come together, rest yourself in child's pose. Again, letting your body recover. Having that sense of recovery. Any good workout, whether it's yoga or otherwise, you need to have these built-in recovery systems so that the body, it's kind of like HIIT training light, if you will. So you work a little and then you recover, and you work a little and recover, so that your body has that natural rhythm, and you give the message to your body like, oh, this isn't going to be forever. Don't turn your fight or flight mechanism on, because the body doesn't know when you're going to quit. And that's really what happens. The body gets really triggered because you push it so hard all the time. But if you just do it in these little bouts, the body goes, oh yeah, I can do this. Oh yeah, I can do this. It's kind of cool when you think about it that way. Alrighty. So go ahead and come on up one more time. We're going to visit this crawling action. And then I'm going to take it to one more thing. I want you to walk yourself back to the edge of your mat as far as you can go. And I want you to imagine that you're going to crawl to the front edge of your mat and back again. So we started with your knees up, and we moved the right foot forward and the left hand forward. And then you just keep going. Crawl, crawl, crawl. Then you go backwards. Crawl, 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 crawl. Crawl, crawl, crawl. Harder than it looks, yeah? Crawl, crawl, crawl. When you get to the back of your mat, take your feet a little bit apart, take your knees a little bit apart, and sit back as if you're in a wide squat. Can you do that? Your knees are open, your balls of your feet are on the floor, not your heels. And then you're just going to see if you can come up. Your fingertips might stay on the floor. If you can balance, turn your palms open, push your knees open, and come up into what we call tippy toe pose. And you're breathing here. So a little bit lighthearted, a little fun here. Crawling is very, 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 very good for the right and left brain and the proprioception. You know this, when babies don't crawl, there's something, it tells the doctor that something's not right in their brain. And they start looking for what might be going on. Good. Go ahead and release that. Knees on the floor. And then make yourself down onto your belly. First time here, go ahead and press your elbows underneath you for Sphinx pose and take your feet a little wider apart. This is a nice release move. So as you inhale, push into your hands and pull your hands backwards and try to bring your chest more forward. You're going to make space in your spine. And then exhale, turn and look over your right shoulder. See if you can see your foot. So your shoulders actually move. And then inhale, pull to get longer. And exhale, turn and look the other way. And we repeat 2 or 3 times, allowing that length and that space to come into the spinal processes. And rotate. And we'll do one more, pulling with the arms. And rotate. And pull forward with the arms. Exhale and rotate. Good. Come to center and let yourself rest. Left hand under head. Right hand reaches back to right foot. Allow the pubic bone to come to the floor as you draw your heel towards your buttocks. If you can do that easily, take your hand over the top of your foot so that you're kind of grabbing the top and around the bottom. Elbow faces up. Breathing. Remember, pubic bone on the floor, that's your giveaway, if you will, if you let your pubic bone come up. Breathing, take one more breath, and then let it go slowly. Switching your hands, and then bring the other leg up. So if you grab your foot and it's not near your bottom, you don't have to do that secondary move. But if you're close to your bottom, take your hand, the palm of your hand over the top of your foot so that the wrist is on your toes and your fingers are pointing down your shin. And that way your elbow will be to the ceiling, your shoulders are in a great spot, pubic bone down, breathing, and then let everything go. Good. Now with your hands on the corners of your mat, see if you can come up onto your elbows. So you're in a wide Sphinx pose. And then just see, you may not be able to, but see if you can push off of your elbows so you're in what we call seal pose in yin. It's a deeper back bend. Look forward with the heart. Look forward with the eyes. Make it come more in the upper part of your back than in the lower. Good. Release and come down. And then roll over onto your back. Bending your knees. Pausing there for a moment. And once you're down, you're taking that minute to let your body readjust itself. I like to rock my pelvis, so posterior, anterior tilting, just to let the lower back see that it's in a nice, safe environment. And then let your knees drift right to left. So now we're rocking on the lateral side of the pelvis. We're giving the pelvis and the sacrum a little message of, oh, it's safe. It's all good. Alrighty. And now come back to center, bring your feet in line with your body. And then find a neutral alignment. So remember, we've talked about this a ton. If, for me, my neutral might feel like I'm arching way off the floor. And when I redirect my pelvis, I might forget about my ribs. So the ribs need to come along for the ride. You want to feel all this contained, like a box. And then take your knees up so that they're right over your hips. And then take your arms up with the palms to the ceiling. And now you're in that crawling position. Do you remember? We're going to play with this like we were doing on the floor. This is going to feel a lot easier. Right leg pushes away, left arm reaches back. And then come back to center. Go very mindfully. Left leg, right arm apart. And if you can hold ribs, core engaged, neutral spine, you can go as slow or as fast as you like. But you want to be honest with yourself. Don't move your other limbs. Keep them steady as the other side works. And what's different about this movement, obviously, is that we're not weight bearing, first of all. And we don't have to move our core body, our trunk in space. That feels different. And then we're also addressing the front body a little differently. That crawling action is front and back body. This is front and back body, but a little differently. Last time. Good. And then just relax. Let yourself pause. You can always rock your pelvis again or rock your knees again. Whatever your body intuitively likes is what your body is asking for. So go ahead and do that. All right. So drop your bring your hips over to the left. Drop your right leg straight down, lift your left knee up. And you're going to cross the left knee over the body. And I don't happen to have a prop right here, but what I'm going to do is take my hand and I'm going to support my leg so that my pelvis doesn't rotate all the way down. And then I'm going to take my left shoulder open and away. So if you're holding your leg like I am, a couple things you can do. I've got my fingers wrapped around the backside of my knee, and then I can start to ask this leg to go straighter. And as I ask that leg to go straighter, I could reach that left arm back and up. So the arm is straight and the leg is straight. And you can go in whatever direction feels good for you. Like for me, it feels a little bit more like I need to bring it up higher, but you might be lower. You don't have to stretch your leg straight at all. The leg on the floor is active. It's not taking a nap. One more breath. And then release it. Come back to center. And then bring your hips back in the middle for a moment. And readjusting yourself. I gotta turn it all the way around. And then bringing your hips over to the right. Drop your left leg and bring your right knee up. And start to let the right knee drift across to the left. And either put a block or a bolster underneath you or hold it with your hand. Once you get your leg where you want it, I want you to rotate your right shoulder open, move your right arm away. And then you might start to ask the leg to go straight. Now, what I like about holding my leg is I feel like I've got a little leverage and I can pull a little bit against that leg pushing. And it gives my body some muscular engagement. I don't feel so susceptible. And that's just me and my muscle, but you might be different. Remember to move this right arm in a place where you feel like you can get that really good, healthy action across the whole diagonal side of your body. One more breath. And then if you straighten your leg, bend it, come back to center, and then finding neutral again. Now from here, I want you to bring your knees together in constructive rest pose, feet apart. Let your hands rest on your body. Take a couple of breaths. And we notice that proprioception is pretty easy for most of us. We know what's going on around us. We can hear the noises of the animals or the people around us or the cars. We can sense where we are on the floor and what's around us on the floor. That's outward awareness. Now take it inward to that interoception. What's going inside? What's happening? Are your muscles shaking? Are you getting a gurgling stomach like you're hungry? Remember, don't forget to eat your protein after you're done. You need to give your muscles something to work with. What's your breathing like? And then as you feel ready, you can go ahead and either stay here or put your legs down. We'll go right into Shavasana from here. Hands can be away from your body, palms open. Legs are slightly open. Want to let the energy flow in and around and through. Taking that nice deep breath, becoming still. Take a longer and deeper breath. And slowly starting to stretch and move. Bringing yourself back into the body. As you feel ready, you can bend your knees and roll to a side. And then we slowly come up to sitting. As you feel ready, hands to heart, closing the practice. As always, with gratitude for our time together on the mat, our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.